Hey guys, in today's video, we're gonna talk about the role of the right or trail arm in the swing. The number one thing that it must do for you to hit the ball solid, we're gonna go over that. I'm gonna give you some checkpoints throughout the swing so you know if you're doing it correctly. We'll also go through the three most common faults and fixes with the right arm, so you have some drills to do. Getting the right arm motion correct is a huge part to you hitting the ball more solid, hitting it further, and hitting it better day to day. Let's get started. I want to talk to you today about live view golf. Now, you guys hear me say all the time that you need feedback when you're practicing. You need to know if you're actually doing what you're trying to do, and the best way to give yourself feedback ultimately is video. And not only is video the best way to give yourself feedback, but being able to see yourself simultaneously as you're doing a movement is the best form of video feedback. It's the best way I've seen to make changes in your swing and be able to correlate the differences between your feels and your reels. Live view is super easy to use and set up. Simply set it up behind or in front of you. You connect it with your iPad or phone, pop that on the ground. You can actually do your practice, see yourself as you're doing it, the best way to expedite your process. I encourage you guys to check out Live View Golf. We'll put a link in the description down below with a coupon code. All right guys, Eric here out at the Bethlehem Golf Club. As mentioned, today's video is all about the role of the right arm. So let's go ahead and dig in. Now, as we dig in here, guys, if you're working on your right arm or you're struggling with your game at all, I would love to help you. Would love to take a look at your swing, help take your game to the next level. Click cogornogolf.com, the link in the description. You can schedule a 15-minute phone call with me to see which one of our plans is best suited for you. We can help take your game to the next level. Also, guys, you guys are watching this. If you do like the video, you could just click that little gray thumbs up button. I would forever be thankful for that. Really, really helps us out. So the right arm, the role of the right arm. Now, while there's a couple things that the right arm needs to do, the primary function of the right arm in the golf swing is to bend and straighten. It's to bend during the backswing, and it's to straighten during the downswing. It's the primary role. Now, how much it bends, when it bends, and how you do those things have a dramatic effect on where the golf club is throughout your entire swing. In a very simple sense, right, we're gonna go simple first for those that want basic feels, then we'll dive into more details. The simple version is this: there's three key parts. And it starts with the fact that the right arm never reaches its full extension or fully straight until about 45 degrees past impact. That's key piece number one. Now, if it's true that the right arm never gets fully straight until 45 degrees past impact, by definition, that means the right arm needs to be bent the entire time before that, starting with the setup position. So if I was just talking someone 101, tell me what the right arm does, here's what I'd say, three parts. The right arm should be slightly bent at your setup position. I'll show you how to do that. It should bend to the point where it reaches roughly 90 degrees at the top. And then it should slowly straighten to the point where it gets to about 45 degrees past impact. More or less, given a couple degree differences, that's pretty much what every golfer is going to do. Again, as a stock rule. Bent at setup, bend it to 90, straighten it by about 45. Now, let's go ahead and just hit a couple with just that, and then we'll talk through some of the details here. So the right arm's bent and soft at setup, bend it to 90, straighten it by 45. So like for me, for instance, when I just feel those things, which is pretty basic, I hit the ball pretty good, right? So if you're looking at, hey, what the heck's my right arm do? Give me the basics here. That's what I would do. Bend to start, bend to 90, straighten by about 45 degrees. 45 degrees meaning to the point where it's maybe 6 feet past the ball. It's not straight at the ball, and it's straight before it gets to the target, although we'll talk about that as a potential feel. So bend to start, bend it to 90, throw it at 45. And just getting those pieces down, for many of us, will improve our ball striking. Okay, so for those of us that want a little more detail, let's start with the setup position. Here's how I would do this. Hold your left arm with the club out straight ahead of you. Now the club will be up on about, I call it like a 150-degree angle there, but the left arm's straight out. Now if you put your right hand out to attach it, and you see how your right arm is straight and kind of even with your left, I do not want you to do that at your setup. What I want you to do is let your right arm soften, let it fold underneath your left, and actually tuck your arm under a little so your elbow points towards your body. Left arm straight out, club slightly hinged. Get your right arm up to it. It's even with your right arm. This is not good. Soften it so you can see my left forearm, and tuck my right elbow so it points towards my body. Now if I bring that down to setup, that's about where you should start. So you can see from down the line, you can see a little bit of my right or my left forearm above my right arm, and my right elbow points more towards my right hip. So it's a little bit bent to start with. Bend to 90, straighten at about 45. Okay, so during my backswing then, I want to be able to bend it to about 90 degrees. It should be bending incrementally and at about the same rate the entire time. As a stock general checkpoint, if we were kind of building a model swing, I'd say I'd set up, let's say it's about 165 degrees. So if straight is 180, it's bent about 15 degrees at setup. By the time the club gets parallel to the ground for the first time, my right arm now is going to be about 150 degrees, which means it bent 30 degrees at this point. So I'm on my way to 90. By the time I get to left arm parallel, I'd be about 120 degrees with my arm. So it's been about 60 degrees. And then by the time I get to the top, it's 90. So I bent it about 90 degrees. So I'm going slightly bent. I'm going to bend it 30 degrees, another 30, another 30. So it's a pretty incremental bend of the arm during the backswing. Soft and under to start with, and then a gradual bend to 90 degrees to the top. Okay, so once I'm 90 at the top, how do I get to this 180, the straight position? Kind of the same thing, right? It's a slow incremental straightening. So for a model, what I would say would be, let's say you're 90 at the top. Let's say for sake of simplicity that you're still 90 by left arm parallel. Not every single golfer will do that. Some will increase their bend a little. Some will straighten, some more than others. Depends on where they're at the top. But let's say I'm 90 and I stay 90, to keep this nice and simple. By the time I get to last parallel, now I'm back down to about 120. And then by impact, I'm at about 150. Pass impact, I'm 180. So all that means is I'm slowly straightening it. It stays bent the same amount early. And then from left arm parallel through to 180, it's just bent, it's just straightening an additional 30 degrees at each point through impact. So a gradual straightening. It's underneath and bent to start. It bends slowly to 90 on the way back, and it slowly straightens to 180 by about 45 past impact. So it's under to start, bend to 90, straighten to 180. Okay, so three most common faults I see with the trail arm. Number one, too straight and too high at setup. Number two, too bent during the backswing. Number three, too straight early coming down. Let's fix each one of those. Starting with the setup, how we fix it, I already showed you. So left arm out, right arm out, even with each other. Soften it, so no tension. Right arm's under the left and bent, elbow towards me. What I see a lot is right arm straight, elbow pointed to the camera behind me, shoulder high and internal. A lot of times it'll be a weak right hand grip. You want to have your right arm soft, maybe even come in from kind of underneath your thigh, underneath your left forearm and bent from down the line. Elbow towards my hip, elbows feel close together. Okay, so during the backswing, for those that bend it too much, two really good drills I like. The first one is a split grip. So split hand grip. You take your right hand and put it about, let's say halfway down the shaft. So I've got about a foot between my left and right hand. Start with the club parallel to the ground. When you make a backswing, I want you to feel like your right palm pushes against the shaft to try and feel like your right arm stays very straight. And you can do this drill to the point where about your left arm or lead arm is parallel to the ground. I'm actively pushing the shaft away from me, feeling like my right arm is staying straight. I would recommend you do this 2 rehearsals, 1 hit, and record yourself to confirm. So I'm pushing away with my right palm during the backswing. The second drill I really like for the trail arm during the backswing, a little bit more difficult, super effective, is the bucket drill. We have a couple with videos on this. Bucket goes in the middle of your sternum, squeeze it together with your biceps. This one forces your trail arm very wide. I recommend only doing this until about just past hip high on the way back. The disadvantage is it keeps your right arm a little too straight on the way through, but just getting a sense of being able to keep some width during the backswing and keeping the trail arm straight. This is a good one to do little half swings. Okay, and the last main fault we said was the right arm straightening too soon. Remember, from at the top we go 90, stay 90, 120, 150. So kind of as a cool little thing, your right arm bend at impact should be about 150. So if I look at my setup, we said about 165, so slightly bent. At impact, it should be more bent, about 15 degrees more bent. Another cool little thing is your right arm at impact, this 150, is going to be roughly the same bend you had during your takeaway. So if you do your takeaway and your right arm's 150 degrees, it should feel like through impact, your right arm stays that same amount bent, and then it slowly straightens. There's a little more to keeping your right arm more bent during the downswing. That'll be for a future video. But the drill I like, again, is a split grip, but it's a slight variation. Instead of you feeling like you're about halfway down the grip, slide that right hand up so it's just at the edge of the grip instead of middle of the shaft. So for the backswing, middle of the shaft and pushing away. For the downswing, end of the grip. Now, same feels from here. Make a little backswing about left arm parallel. Now, from here, I want you to feel like you get down to impact and get the club all the way down to the ground. Now, to feel that, even from about here through, you can feel how far down and forward your body needs to get to do this. There's really 3 main things you have to get good at to be able to have your trail arm more bent during the downswing. Number 1 is keeping your right arm more externally rotated. That means keeping your elbow more towards the target than your wrist bone for longer, having your arm in front of you. Number 2 is having enough side bend. That means your right shoulder down. And number 3 is having enough rotation, which is your right shoulder forward. External rotation, side bend, rotation. I would put that all together by this drill. Hand to the end of the grip, feel the right elbow closer to the target than the wrist, feel the right shoulder down and forward. Again, this is an exaggerated drill version there. Essentially, your right arm is going to need to feel like it stays more bent longer. So right shoulder down and forward, right elbow external. And that's what you need to feel through impact. If you are someone who straightens too soon, remember, you always fix a problem by doing the opposite and exaggerating. So instead of feeling like your arm's straightening here, I would highly suggest you try and feel like your right arm stays more bent along with your right wrist, and it throws more at the target. So later. But again, the key thing is having your right arm external, a little bit of adduction, getting crazy here, shoulder down and forward. Again, we'll do more on this later, but your right arm's going to stay more bent, elbow in front of wrist, right shoulder down and forward if you need to have the trail arm more bent longer. All right, guys, so that's the roll of the right arm. The primary piece is the bending and extending. Those are the checkpoints I would hit. Those 3 most common flaws. Start with the setup. I'm telling you, 80% of people that I work with on CogornoGolf.com, the trail arm's too high and too straight, so do not overlook that part. Those couple of drills during the backswing if you need more width, and then really key to get that external rotation and the torso in the correct position, feeling like it stays way more bent longer if you're the golfer who throws too early. We'll do a little mini series on this right arm. There's a lot more details that we could go through. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Those feels are the same for wedges, irons, hybrids, fairways, driver. If you guys did like this video, please click that little gray thumbs up button. Like I mentioned, check out CogornoGolf.com. Schedule your call. Let's actually make real improvements to your golf game this year. That's in the link below. We'll put the card on the screen. More detail on the right arm for those that want it. We'll put Cogorno Golf. You can click that. It'll take you right there.